Hello everyone, this is Anne from IP Note. Today, together with our trusted partner Wayne, we will delve deeper into accelerated examination of patents. In the previous time, we discussed the difference between the two programs of accelerated examination and the criteria. So today we will continue to explore interesting subjects. Wayne, can accelerated examination lead to a higher chance of rejection?
So the short answer is probably not, and it's probably the other way. So I want to explain quickly what the different rejections that are typically received. There are technical rejections, and then there are rejections based on prior publications. A patent application, for the technical rejections, there are claims that have to be written in a certain way, and there are technical rejections that can come in where they say the claim was not written clear enough or in the right format, and so that's a rejection, and then you can respond to that by correcting the claims and those errors. And sometimes those technical rejections are related to what's in the written description or the drawings. If they don't match the claims, then you can get a rejection, and you can't add new information. So if your drawing doesn't show what's in the claims, in some cases, and I've helped clients that have come to me after somebody else has filed a patent application and they've gotten a rejection. Some cases we need to add that information in and do a new filing if you want what's in the claims. So those are technical. Some of them need more work than others. So just getting it right, being accelerated shouldn't affect that unless your patent attorney is rushing and not doing a good job, which we hope not. And the other ones I would call substantive or based on what's been done before. So a patent application, its claims need to describe something that's hasn't been published before. So the patent office researches what has been published before, and if they find something that shows what you applied for, they reject it. And they show you, here's the reference, here's why we're rejecting it. The other way is if the patent office looks at the claims and says, well, there isn't one reference that shows all of this, but they say it would be obvious to combine what's taught in one publication and another publication. And publications don't have to be patents. They can be journals, they can be internet articles, they can be advertisements on the internet for products that are similar to what you're selling. And in that case, we can argue and show the patent office why it wouldn't make sense to combine those, or those references don't make sense, or amend the claims to clarify we're not doing what's in those references. And sometimes we can't overcome it, but the one where they have one reference that directly shows it, those are typically harder to overcome if they found something really similar to what you applied for. But when they're combining references, we usually have a better chance of working with the patent office to understand and overcome those rejections. Now, back to the question of accelerated examination leading to a higher chance of rejection. The data actually suggests that the opposite is true. There's a higher chance of getting a patent allowed by filing for track 1 expedited, but there's many possible reasons, and it might not be a direct correlation. It's like saying that school children who are at private schools have a higher chance of being accepted into college. Well, the school children that go to private schools have support from parents and resources and tutors that others don't. And by expediting an application, an entrepreneur or business, there's a few things. They're able to stay focused on it. They typically select, since there's a fee, unless it's expedited based on age, they're going to select what they think is their best invention that they think can get through quickly. So it might be self-selecting, but there are reasons that it might not be self-selecting. When you file accelerated, my experience is that it goes to more experienced examiners, and they're more comfortable with knowing when a patent has met all of the requirements. A less experienced examiner is going to look to their supervisors and say, did I check everything right? And would rather say, well, I don't think you got this right when you actually did, and reject you when you don't need a rejection, because they're not as confident in what they're doing. Experience brings confidence, and it takes time. And there are a lot of patents that are not granted because the inventors, the owners, decide not to respond to or they're no longer focused on the invention. When it takes 2 years after applying, if it's a young business, a startup, they may run out of money for their project in 2 years. And so they don't have any money left to hire attorneys to properly examine the rejection and understand how to respond to it. So those are some of the things. And there appears to be a correlation between expediting and a higher chance of making it through, but that doesn't mean it causes it. So.
Yeah, no, it's clear. Did I understand correctly that maybe accelerated examination is a good strategy for startups, since they do not need to wait for examination, regular examination, I mean?
Yes. And if you also think about a patent application, you in the US, you get a 20-year right. The 20-year right starts when you file the application. You can't enforce a patent until you have a granted application. Now, by getting, the accelerated examination is likely to give you an extra year of patent right that you can enforce. And if you've got an idea and you're a small company and you're growing, larger companies might be able to start selling when you don't have a patent. But if you get that patent quickly, you can quickly go to them and say, hey, we've got a patent. You need to pay us money, or you need to stop or buy us. Here's our price. Mm-hmm. Those are often strategies for startups.
I see. That's helpful to know. And how does accelerated examination affect patent infringement lawsuits?
As I said, when we're talking about someone enforcing their own patent, a patent is necessary for filing a lawsuit. You can't file a lawsuit until you have a granted patent. Another thing, when you are enforcing your patent, when you're going through the patent process, as I've mentioned before, 90% of all patents get at least one rejection. To respond to that rejection, we can have discussions on the phone or with video chat with the patent office, but we still have to put in writing what we said and the arguments we made. Now, everything in that file can be used against the patent owner in court. So if I said, you rejected me because the reference you showed me has a scoop and we don't have a scoop, then if someone is infringing, or you think they're infringing and you go to court, then that potential infringer is going to say, I have a scoop, and you said in the file that your invention doesn't have a scoop, so I don't infringe. So when you do accelerated examination, it usually reduces that back and forth. As I mentioned before, more experienced examiners are going to be more comfortable with allowing that patent with less discussion. Less experienced examiners are going to push back and say, I'm not sure you got it right. So then the attorney goes through more process, says more things in the file. And accelerated examination might actually save money. It's not a certainty, but when you pay for that accelerated examination, or you get in the program based on age, the patent office then has put you into a program where their goal is to get you through that process quickly, within 1 year, which is quickly in the patent office. And so that's likely going to minimize the amount of back and forth written history that can be used against you in the patent office. Now, one thing I want to mention, since I said patent is necessary to file a lawsuit, granted patent, what is recommended by those who are litigators, and I've been to conferences and I've interviewed litigators, the people who take these patents to court, what's recommended is you keep a patent pending. When the patent office says, okay, those claims and all the technical details are correct in the patent, we're going to give you a patent. That's called the allowance. Now, you pay an issue fee, and then about a month later after you pay that, the patent is granted. Once it's granted, it's no longer pending. But while it's pending, you can file another patent application. You can amend the claims and make them focus in a different area, or even broader claims, and keep that patent pending. If you go to court and you have a patent that is pending, you can't go to court unless you have an issued patent. But if you have an issued patent and a patent that is pending, it's much harder for the infringer to be confident that they've won the battle. Because as I mentioned before, like go back to the example that I talked about where there's something that has a scoop and you said ours doesn't have a scoop. Well, if in court they say, see, that's why we don't infringe, you've got a pending application, and you can, in that pending application, put in a scoop and then work with the patent examiner on that reference and show different reasons why that reference doesn't infringe. You can take the infringer's device or method, whatever it is that they're doing that you think infringes, and put a claim in there that describes exactly what they're doing. And so they might win that patent battle, but they've got another one coming. And so they're likely to settle rather than go through that patent battle knowing it's not over. If you get the patent quickly and you don't go forward, then you're just relying on that one patent. And patent litigation is very intense, it is very expensive. A lot of money is spent on it. And one of the first things that happens when you sue someone for a patent is they're going to research and find ways to try to invalidate your patent. They're going to take it back to the patent office and say, you missed something. We think this patent shouldn't have been granted. And there's a process in the patent office where they actually look at that, and it's a litigation process where each side presents their evidence and each side presents their arguments. So there's a lawsuit before the lawsuit in the patent office where the patent owner can only lose. They can't win at that point because they don't win the battle. They just have to win this first battle to get to the actual battle. And it is what it is. Whether or not that's the right way to do it, that's the way it is.
Wow. It sounds like a fight or something like that.
It is a fight. It's battle. It is war. And you know, you can, if you're going to patent litigation, read The Art of War by Sun Tzu.
Yes, I guess everyone wants to avoid that. It seems
Yes.
like it is better to avoid this.
And that's why I mentioned keeping a patent pending, because, you know, Sun Tzu says you want winning to be as easy as bending over and picking up a feather. If you have a strong strategy, the other side's going to say, let's not spend all this money on attorneys, because a lot of money goes to attorneys in patent battles. Let's instead work together and help each other's business and build each other's business.
Yes. Thank you very much, Wayne, for discussion and sharing these insights.